I'm thirsty.
I don't think you should drink that. It looks bad for you.
Nonsense. It makes me feel great, smarter, more aggressive. I feel like I could. Like I could. Like I could. Take on the world.
Day of the Tentacle is one of the best examples of how funny writing and clever game design can turn a simple adventure game into something unforgettable. It was made by LucasArts and released in 1993. The game is a sequel to Maniac Mansion, but it does not simply repeat the first game's ideas. The developers wanted to make the sequel more polished, more accessible, and even funnier. The story follows three characters, Bernard, Hoagie, and Laverne. They are trying to stop a purple tentacle that has become intelligent and wants to take over the world. That sounds ridiculous, and that is exactly the point. Day of the Tentacle is built around comedy. The game treats a crazy story as if it is completely normal. The characters react seriously to very silly situations, and that contrast creates much of the humor.
To the mansion! Okay, we'll spread out.
The developers also wanted to improve the way adventure games worked. Older adventure games could sometimes be frustrating. Players could die, get stuck, or make choices that ruined their game without knowing it. LucasArts had already started moving away from this style, and Day of the Tentacle pushed the idea further. The player is not constantly punished for experimenting. Instead, the game encourages you to try things. That is very important because experimentation is at the heart of the adventure game genre. The most famous design idea in Day of the Tentacle is the way the three characters can interact with different time periods. Hoagie is in the past, Bernard is in the present, Laverne is in the future. The characters can send objects through a strange machine, and an action in one time period can affect another. This creates a huge number of funny and clever puzzle ideas. It also gives the game a very strong identity. The time travel is not just part of the story. It is part of the gameplay. The developers were able to build puzzles around cause and effect. You change something in the past, and then you see the result later. This makes the world feel connected. The visual style was also a major part of the game's success. Day of the Tentacle uses a bright cartoon style with strong animation and expressive characters. This was very different from the realistic look that some games were starting to chase. The developers knew that the game was a comedy, so the art needed to look like a cartoon. The characters have exaggerated faces and movements, and the environments are full of small visual jokes. The result is a world that feels alive even though it is built from 2D graphics. The voice acting and sound also helped. Day of the Tentacle was released during a period when CD-ROM technology was becoming more important. This allowed games to use much more speech and audio than older computer games. That helped LucasArts make the characters feel more like actors in a comedy, compared with many adventure games of the early 1990s. Day of the Tentacle is also very friendly to new players. The interface is simple. The game gives you clear actions, and the player can explore without constantly worrying about making the game impossible to finish. This shows what the developers were trying to achieve. They wanted the player to focus on the jokes and puzzles, not on fighting the game itself. That is why Day of the Tentacle has aged so well. The graphics are old, but the art style is still attractive. The technology is old, but the writing still works, and the puzzles are still clever because they are based on a strong idea. The game is a perfect example of a lesson in game design. You do not need realistic graphics to create a memorable world. You need a clear style, good characters, and mechanics that support the story. Day of the Tentacle has all three. It was designed to make players laugh, think, and experiment. And more than 30 years later, it still does exactly that.
So,
I don't quite... Well, I'm sure I had a reason for it. If there are...
And this. Drat.
Our work here is done. Now we can go home.